today, I talked to the Lord about like, I don't want to be alone. Actually, I didn't say that I don't want to be alone, but in my heart, I was saying it. So I was feeling like I don't want to be alone. Like I'm going to be alone all day. And when I was pulling up to the church, a friend of mine that said that we realized we go to the same church, but we had never seen each other. She was walking to church and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you should sit with me." So I sat with her and her mom and another friend of theirs during service. So that was really good because I was not alone. And then after church, I was wanting to get some tacos, and then something just said, "We're going to go get breakfast." And I went to one of my favorite breakfast spots that I haven't eaten there in like maybe a half a year. And so on my way there, I'm like, "Lord, I'm really in good spirits too." I'm like, "Lord, I just want to encounter you today. I want to encounter you through someone else. Like, I want your spirit to be, I want to see your spirit in someone else today. And I want to have that encounter with you in that way through a person." And I said, "Even if I don't, Lord, like, let me be the encounter for someone else." Right. So I go there, and this is a place I used to go to with my ex. And I was like, I hope he's not there. So I was more thinking like, what if I run into him? That'd be so weird. But I look good, so I wasn't worried about it because I had on my little Sunday best dress. And so, but I quickly said, okay, I'm not going to worry too much about that and move forward. And I did. So when I got in there, I sat at the bar, and my waitress was really nice. She was like, "Anything you need, I'll get it for you. Anything you want, I'll give it to you." Like she was just saying things like that, which was so strange. I'm like, she must either be new or she's just like one of those women that are like a woman of service. And I really appreciate that. She was an older lady, but she was very, very, very sweet. Like her spirit was young. I just love that. But anyway, so she was helpful and everything. And then I saw a waiter that I used to see all the time, and I saw him when I came in, but I didn't get his attention or anything because I don't know his name. So, but he was just moving around real fast, and he's always had a great spirit. He's always like laughing, joking. He's very wise, very caring. So anyway, so he's just moving around, laughing, and all this stuff, and then we catch eyes. He was behind the bar, and so he's like, "Hey, like I know you," like that look, and I'm like, "Yes, how are you? It's good to see you." And I was like, You used to see me all the time with my ex boyfriend, but we're not together anymore." Actually, before I said that, I was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And then he's like, "Hi, it's good to see you." I was like, "Yeah, it's been a while." And he's like, "Yeah." And then he said two things: "How are you?" and "How was church?" And I was like, okay. So, and I love that about him because he's wanted to know how I am, and then he wanted to know how I enjoyed church service today. So he's very aware, and I really like that about him. But anyway, so we started talking, and I told him that, if he didn't really quite remember me, which I know he does, but I was trying to give him an idea that I didn't come in there by myself all the time. I would come in there with an ex. And so I told him, I said, "Yeah, I used to come here all the time with my ex, but we're no longer together anymore. Just, FYI." And he was like, "Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't really like him." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so we just laughed about that a little bit, but I didn't want to play that game because I don't do that. But he made that joke, and then we just kind of laughed it off. And then he's like, "Well, you're smiling, and that's a really good thing." I said, "Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really great." And I was like, "Well, how are you?" And he was like, I tell people I'm okay, but I'm having a bad day." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So we just started talking about, like, we couldn't really talk because by this time I'm eating, he's moving around, he's serving, and he just kind of like spot talked with me. Like, I don't know how to call it. It's how you call it. Like, he kept coming back, checking in, whatever. And he told me he was having a bad day. And so, but other than that, he was upbeat and everything. And so he was like, "I'm gonna just let you eat, I'm gonna let you eat and everything. I'm not gonna keep asking questions and talking to you." Because he kept asking me kind of like just random questions about the day and how was church and stuff like that. Well, then he was like, "Do you drink?" And I said, "No, I don't drink. I drink wine, but I used to drink. Like, I'm not a non-drinker, but I just don't drink. I guess I am a non-drinker, but I drink wine." So then he's like, "Oh," he gave me a couple like half shots, like to try different drinks. Like he wanted me to try this drink that tastes like ice cream. It was a shot that tastes like ice cream. Then he gave me another drink, but it was like very small. So I appreciated that because I felt like he respected that I did not want to get drunk, but he also wanted me to try something new, which I thought that was really nice. So the experience was really good and respectful. And then he comes over and then he's like asking more questions and we're talking, and he has a ring on. So I know he's married. But he just has this like bubbly personality. Like you would just have to know, like if the bubbliest person that you've ever met, he's like that. But anyway, so he comes over and he's like, well, yeah, continuing the conversation. And he was just like, I said, are you going to go to church? And he said, I'm probably going to go to church later on, but people at church, they all know me. And when I come in, the pastor announces that I'm there. Everyone wants to like see me and talk to me, and I have to put on this. And I said, oh, you're not able to be yourself at church. And he was like, no, like I have to, I can't have a personal relationship or personal experience at church. It's always like, everyone like, wanting to be around me because he has a type of, effect on people. And I said, oh, okay. And that made me feel really sad because here we are, going to a house of worship, and he's the type of person that will pour into people. He pours in, he's curious, he asks you questions, he'll personalize the conversation to fit you, to make you feel heard and seen, where he shuts off that part of himself that needs that for himself, just to get by, I guess, or just that's just the way he does things. And so I really did not like that he's having that experience at church. So we just talked about how we probably need to visit different churches that pour into us, or we can equally pour into other people. Or then I decided, well, let me pray for you. Do you mind if I pray for you? And he said, yeah, sure. Like right here. Okay, let's go. So he grabbed my hands. Mind you, I'm at the bar, and behind me is just the whole restaurant. Everyone can see me at the bar because is low. So I grabbed his hands, he grabbed my hands, or he grabbed mine first, and I grabbed his, and I just started praying. I started praying for this man in front of everybody, asking the Lord to pour into him, asking the Lord to cover him with his love, asking the Lord to send someone in his life that is like him for him. You know what I mean? Like, excuse me. And it was just such a beautiful moment. So we did that. I prayed for him and I cut it short because I didn't want to go on, because I could literally go into speaking into tongues and all kind of things. And I didn't want to do that. So I don't want to suppress the Holy Spirit either, but I just didn't want, I knew he was working. So I was trying to be respectful of work. So then he goes behind the bar and we're talking. And then he was like, I don't want to mess up your name because my name is Sunday. And he's like, I don't want to mess it up. So you need a new name. And I was like, now normally I would be offended by that. Like, what you mean I need a new name? Like you gonna have to just, and I think he's Hispanic, but I don't know what country he's from. Um so anyway, because his name is Adon. So anyway, he's like, well, I don't want to butcher your name. Like I don't want to screw it up. So let's think of another name. You need a new name. And I was like, what? That is so weird for someone to just say, you need to change your name. So I said, what? So I'm thinking, right? I'm really like, well, I don't have any nicknames. So I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, why can't he just accept that this is my name? But what dawned on me is that I'm speaking to God. And it all hit me. There was a time last week that I watched a video that says, I can't remember the title of the video, but basically it was around how God changes your name when you're entering into a new season, when your destiny changes, when you're about to go into something else, like Simon Peter, Saul to Paul. I can't remember, but anyway, so those are examples, right? And their destiny changed once God renamed them. And so I watched this video about how God gives you a new name. All that information from that video popped up, like when God's ready, he's going to change your name. So this kind of made me think, I asked God for an encounter. This is a interesting encounter with this waiter. Like this is something I've never experienced. And then especially me praying for him in public. And then he specifically said, we need to change your name. So as I'm sitting there, that video popped up in my head and I thought, I'm going to go with this. I'm not going to be offended. I'm going to go into this knowing God is with me. And so I said, "Oh, okay, let me really think." Because at first I asked him, I said, "What do you see when you see me? Like, what do you what do you see? Like, what it, and I'm thinking if he can give me a name, then I won't, it won't be my doing." I said, "What about Grace?" When I said Grace, then I thought, okay, that's it, Grace. And he said, "Oh, I have Grace tattooed on my arm." And it was these big letters that said Grace on his arm, very beautifully written, because he had a lot of tattoos. And I said, "Oh, well, you'll never forget my name now because it's tattooed on your arm, Grace." And he was like, "Oh, yes, okay, okay, that's it, Grace." And I just thought about, and by this time I'm packing up, ready to go, and everything. And so, we talked for a little bit, and I left, but it just I looked up what grace means. Of course, it means favor. I don't. I'm on my phone, so I can't look it up, but I looked up what grace means, and it is one of the most beautiful names. I know God was speaking to me through this person because I asked God for an encounter and he confirmed that yes, he is changing my name. I did not come by that video by chance. This was a setup for me to be able to receive what God is telling me. On my way home from leaving the restaurant, I was saying, like, Lord, thank you for the encounter. Thank you for, like, sending him to me so that I could have, another friend to enjoy my dinner, my brunch with. And then the Holy Spirit was like, "No, you were used as a vessel to be an encounter for him." And I just started speaking in tongues, and I was like, "Oh," like I just started feeling in the spirit, like, "Oh my God, like God never does just one thing. It's always a multiplication, is always more than what we think it is." It was for him and it was for me. So I'm so grateful that God ministered to us both in that encounter. And I have no idea how many other people were impacted by me praying for him in public. You never know what God is doing behind closed doors, right? Or you never know what he's doing in our lives. So I'm grateful for that. And as I'm going down the street, I'm driving and I'm speaking in tongues, I'm praying, I'm worshiping, no music, no nothing, just feeling it in the spirit, like, thank you, Lord, like just really just giving him thanks. So then I see a sign on a billboard that says, "Your dream job starts here." And I just like started, crying because I've been praying for a new job. I've been praying for a job that for a certain amount of money, to make a certain amount of money, because I am tired of living paycheck to paycheck, and I'm very intelligent. I've put a lot of work in. I'm in school right now for marketing, and I just don't understand why I couldn't break free of this amount limit that I've been receiving. And it's not because I'm greedy. It's just I really need to catch up with societal increases in the prices of things. I don't want to live in this space anymore. Not this actual space, but just in this place of just getting by or not getting by at all. And just staying faithful, like, mm. And so that has been my prayer. And then the next billboard, like the next one, like I saw that one, took a picture. I drive to maybe 1 minute down the road, another billboard, and it says, "Go beyond banking." Now, the reason that's important is because one day I woke up and God said, "Go." God said, "Banking, apply for banking." So because I was applying for jobs and I couldn't get one, and I was like, "Okay, what do I do? What do I do?" And I kept asking. I didn't hear anything. I just kept applying for whatever I could apply to. Like, I don't care what it was, and nobody was calling me back. Nothing was happening. And then so one day I woke up and I heard, "Going to banking." I applied for a role at a bank. I got an interview. I got in. It was like just like that. It worked just like that. It wasn't the money that I want to make, and it wasn't the hours, because it's a part time job actually, and that's another reason why I haven't been able to make ends meet, because it's a freaking part time job. But God is able. Okay, He is doing His big one. Like, we skating on in there. Like, I am not able to cover everything, but I'm just rolling with it. Like, whatever He wants me to do, right? But when that next sign said "Go beyond banking," I'm like, okay, what? Where? When? How? What? Lord? So I'm just like, the Lord is speaking to me, and I am all open in all ears. I'm so grateful. So I don't know what he wants me to do. I know this is one of the things he wants me to do. So I'm going to get on and just say what I'm going through, give my testimony, speak about my day, my life, whatever he wants me to say, and not be so structured about, my videos. But that is where I'm at, and that is what God is speaking to me today about. So um, I I don't want to be selfish and say these messages are just for me. Um, I want to be, I want to water you all. I want to give to you all as well. So I'm expressing and explaining what happened to me today. Hopefully, it encourages you to take the time to talk to God and ask Him questions and have your heart open and ready to receive the message, the confirmation, His word, whatever He says to you at any moment. It can happen at any moment. It can happen in a split moment. Pay attention. When people are talking to you, talk to God in here and in here. Talk to God like, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? Lord, what is this? Who is this? What do I need to say to this person? What do I need to hear? What am I listening for? Talk to Him in your heart so that you may get the revelation out of what's happening in your life on the day-to-day basis. But that's what I got today, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. God is speaking. He is very much so here and around. He is everywhere. He is in this room right now. He is in the room with you right now. So just take time after this video to go into prayer and worship and thanksgiving for His sacrifice that He's made for us. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Okay.